Now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at another Kickstarter preview game. We're going to take a look at Island Siege, which is a two-player game by Ape Games. It's going to be using pretty much exclusively cards and dice, but each player is controlling their own population of colonists trying to colonize an area and or gain money faster than the other player. So real quick, why don't we take a look at what you get inside of this box. And a reminder, these are prototype components. These are not the final quality components that you'll get after the Kickstarter is complete. But we'll take a look at what you get inside of this box and how those pieces are used in the game. Then we'll come back here and we'll get my final thoughts on Island Siege and what I think you can expect from it. So here you can see the prototype components for Island Siege. Reminder, these are not final components, so what you get may not exactly reflect what you see in this video, but the function will be much the same. Now each player is going to start with these cards you see down here in front of you. So you're going to see that each player has a starting fort, which at the bottom has a space for colonists. It will accrue colonists, which you can use as a resource for building more things. And it's also going to have these spots for cubes. Cubes are going to be walls, towers, and cannons, which are going to defend your various colonists and other buildings and things you might build afterwards. So each player has one of those. In addition, each player is going to have these two cards here, which are going to be called their Imperial card when they're combined. This is going to be the home for all of your colonists. You'll start with 9 colonists placed on this sheet. And as you remove colonists, you'll remove them from the bottom up, and as you remove them, you'll get more abilities. This one will allow you to re-roll your dice one more time. This one will give you an extra die, and the top one, if you have all of your colonists off of the card at the start of your turn, you'll win the game. The ship card here is going to give you a leadership ability. It shows you that it has a leadership ability by showing you these two little circles on it, and says that if you roll those circles, you can use these to destroy one of your opponent's ships. In addition, it tells you here that you get to roll 3 dice, that's the icons at the bottom, and that you get 1 reroll. So your base ability is to roll 3 dice and have 1 reroll when you're attacking. In addition to these things, you're going to see we have some dice here which have symbols on them that match those different types of walls, cannons, and towers, as well as this leadership icon and a red icon, which I'll explain later. We're going to have the cubes to reflect the walls, cannons, and towers. We're going to have some coins, which will be victory points. And if you'd like to see a coin from the company that's going to be making the coins, this is the quality of the coins right here. They're going to look like this once they get them all done and ready. And then you have your colonists that each player will have. In addition, you're going to have a deck of cards that is going to be more ships with different abilities, more forts, and some buildings that will provide you an ability when you build them behind your fort. So real quick, why don't I set up the game and we'll show you how it plays. So here's Island Siege all set up. Now, as you can see, each player has their own little starting area before them. They also have this little fleet token, which will show where they're attacking if they decide to attack. And basically, each turn, you're going to start out with a victory phase. You're going to check and see if you won. Now, on the first turn, you obviously didn't win. But if you start your turn and all of your colonists are off of this card, meaning that this crown space is empty, you'll have won the game. Or if you start your turn with 20 coins and you have more coins than your opponent, you will win the game. So those are the 2 ways to win. Now, after that, you're going to move on to what's called the colonize phase. And the colonize phase is going to be moving colonists off of your Imperial card, this card here. You're going to move 1 to each fort you have. Now, forts will be, they'll first off say fort on them, and second, they'll have these little circles at the bottom to put the guys on. So if you have an empty circle, you're going to place a guy from your Imperial card onto your forts, or each of your forts, which will give you kind of resources to use. After this, you're going to move on to the third and last phase of every turn, which is called the action phase. Now, in the action phase, you have 3 choices of what to do. You're either going to draw cards, and when you draw cards, you're going to draw 3 cards, and you're going to basically keep 2 of them and pass 1 to your opponent. So basically, you get to draw 2 and your opponent gets to draw 1, but what they get is your choice. So you might draw some cards and decide which one you like the best, or which 2 you like the best, and pass the remaining 1 to your opponent. So it not only benefits you, but benefits them. Your second choice would be to build something, and building something is going to require you to pay a cost in colonists from a specific fort. Now, you'll look in your hand here and you'll see we have ship cards, and at the top of these ship cards it has a cost, in this case 3. You'd have to pay 3 colonists from one of your forts, and you'd put this ship out next to your other ships. When you do so, you're going to move the colonists from that fort onto this ship. And then this ship would give you an ability that says if you roll this leadership symbol during one of your attacks, you can add a black to one of your results. So basically, it gives you, instead of a yellow, a black result. And I'll cover up what that means shortly. So basically, if I had 3 guys on this card, I'd move them all over there, and this card would be in play, and I'd have used up my resources. The next type of card you can build is a building card. They look like this. And again, this one costs 3 colonists. But this one is called the Watchtower, and it says when it's built, you destroy an opponent's ship. So that ship that I just played out would have colonists on it, and that ship could be destroyed if my opponent played this card by paying their 3 colonists. In addition, it says your opponent cannot build ships while this is in play. Now, on this card, there's a benefit, and on the ship card as well. You'll see that when you build these, you're going to get money at the bottom here. It says you get 4 money for building this, so that's victory points or coins. And same thing for the Watchtower. When you build this Watchtower, you're going to get 3 coins, 3 victory points. In addition, for buildings, you're going to be building them inside of a fort, so you'd build it behind a fort. Now, you'll see here it shows a black cube on this, 1 black cube. This means you can repair whatever fort you build it in with 1 black cube, making that fort stronger. As I said, once you build something, you're going to move the appropriate colonists onto it, take the victory points and whatever rewards you get, and then you're going to end your turn. So this would end up with these 3 colonists on it instead of in the fort. Anytime a card gets destroyed that has colonists on it, it's going to move back to your card, taking away some of your abilities and moving you further away from being the leader or the winner of the game. The third type of card you can build doesn't require colonists to build. So instead of requiring colonists, these are going to be more forts that you can put out. And you'll see here, forts look like this. They have cube spaces on them, and they always come with 1 free cube. In this case, it's a black one. Now, when you place these out, you're going to get that cube for free. So I would take a black cube from the supply, if there is one, and add it onto that. In addition, there are other spaces available for more cubes. And I maybe have acquired more cubes. I'll show you how to do that shortly. But if you've acquired more cubes, you can place them from your supply onto this space, and for each one you place, you're going to get 1 coin in terms of victory points. So maybe I had a black and 2 grays in my supply, and I placed them here like this, 2 grays and a black. And so now this fort is full. In addition to providing, of course, more area for me and getting me victory points by playing my own cubes, which I would get 3 if I played that out like that, it's going to give me an ability on it which says whenever an opponent attacks this fort, he cannot use his building abilities. So each of his buildings that he built no longer provides its ability while this fort is being attacked. In addition to that, this is going to provide another area to get resources during that phase, the phase of colonizing when you place your guys out. So next colonized phase, if both of these forts were still here, he'd place these out like this. So that's the reason to build forts. Now, those are the 3 types of things you can build, but instead of building, you can attack. That's what this little fleet token is for. And when you attack, you're going to choose somewhere to attack. You can't attack ships, but you can attack forts. And when you attack a fort, you're going to place your ship out in front of it and say, I'm attacking this fort. At this point, you get to roll some dice. At the beginning of the game, you're going to get 3 dice. If you've managed to get up to this spot here by clearing all of your colonists, you're going to get 4 dice. And when you roll these dice, you're going to get results that look something like this. In this case, I got a white, and I got 2 reds. Now, I get 1 free reroll, so I could decide to reroll these 2 red dice if I wanted to. Well, I got 2 reds again. At this point, I have to choose one color of flag in order to deal damage to this fort. In this case, I would choose white because it's the only choice I have, and it would remove this white cube. After this, I have a choice. I can either do what's called taking reinforcements, which would be to take all of the other colored flags in terms of cubes. So if I had a, let's go like this and say I had a black and a gray, I could take a black and a gray cube into my supply, which I could later use to build more fortresses. However, since I had reds, we'll go that route, and we'll say, I only have reds left over. At this point, I can either do the reinforcements, which would get me nothing, or I can take what's called a second wave attack. And for each red die I have here, I can destroy 1 cube in my opponent's fortress. So maybe I want to destroy these 2 pesky grays, I would remove them from the board. Each red basically is a wild to remove 1 cube. Now, there are some special rules about attacking. For example, if I wanted to destroy these grays, I would need at least 2 grays to do so because they are next to each other. I can't destroy just 1 at a time in the first wave attack. So unless I get 2 grays, which I don't in this roll, I can't destroy those 2 grays. But I can still destroy them during the second wave with the reds. In addition, there are some other things. For example, let's look at a situation like this. If I had attacked this area, I cannot destroy this black cube and still have destroyed the gray cube. That's because the gray cube is protecting the black cube. So if I roll my first roll, I need to get at least 1 gray to destroy that during the first wave, and then during the second wave, if I had a black, I could destroy the black one behind it. Removing these fortresses is not only going to get rid of your opponent's abilities, but it's going to move the colonists that are on that fortress back to their supply, keeping them from winning the game. It doesn't really provide any victory points, but it does delay their victory. After you've chosen your action of either drawing or building something or attacking your opponent, you're going to end your turn. And your opponent's going to start their turn with a new victory phase, trying to see if they've won the game, then continuing on with their colonization, generating more resources, and then their action phase of building, drawing, or attacking. And you're going to go on in this manner until one player manages to win the game by either accomplishing the goal of getting 20 coins, or by getting all of their colonists off of their card and starting their turn with that card empty. At that point, whoever's managed to do one of those two things first will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Island Siege, a two-player card game / dice game in which each player is trying to colonize their own area first. The game has a pretty good amount going for it. It's pretty simple to learn. I mean, it's just a deck of cards and a couple of dice and some cubes, but in that there's a decent amount of strategy. You have to decide if you want to go for an economic victory or a colonization victory, getting all of your guys off of your card, or getting to 20 money and more money faster than your opponent. You want to decide if you want to do this by building fortresses, or if you want to do it by trying to get different buildings and ships out, or how you want to best optimize your dice rolling for when you attack. You have to decide the right time of whether you'd like to draw cards and give cards away, which can often be detrimental to your plan, or if you'd like to try and get an ability first that maybe prevents your opponent from getting a card when you draw, which does exist in the deck. With that said, there's a lot of different abilities on the cards and the ships. There's a lot of variation with each of them being different, so I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on for Island Siege. If this sounds interesting to you, they're definitely looking for more pledgers on their Kickstarter, so if you'd like to check that out, we'll have a link for you below, and you can go and support Ape Games in their quest to get Island Siege out to more people to play.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.